Welcome to the Health Revolution, the program that shows you how to have a life of vibrant well-being. In a world full of noisy health trends, we bring you clarity. We reveal the science-backed strategies that truly work in a sea of fads. We explore the physical strength, emotional resilience, and mental mastery. These are the keys to an enriched life. Join us for inspiring interviews with champions who've conquered life's health challenges. Are you ready to unlock your potential to live with vitality and purpose? Then join the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands. Let's embark on this transformative quest. Together, we're about to change the game, starting now. The information provided in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Viewers should use their own discretion and consult with a healthcare professional for personalized guidance and recommendations. Everybody, you are watching the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, and we are delighted that you are joining us today. No matter which way you're tuning into us, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We want to stay connected to you. Also, at the bottom of your screen, there is a tab for show episode notes. Be mindful of that. You're going to want to reference that for today's episode. And of course, for welcoming new viewers and those who are continuing to stay with us, we talk about all things elevating the physical strength, the emotional resilience, and the mental mastery of our lives. And today, I want to talk about integrating health and technology together and groundbreaking approaches. What does this mean? I'm excited about today's episode because it's not something we've talked about before, but it's something you're going to want to know. First, I've got to introduce to you our guest today. She's a rock star. Let's take a look at this. Meet Kyra Storojev, a pioneer in technology industry who's redefining innovation and connection. Kyra's journey began as a regional marketing manager for Target Vision, where she broke barriers as a keynote speaker, leading conversations in technology, a groundbreaking achievement for women at the time. She became a trusted technology expert, appearing on air and online for KCBS TV, sharing insights into cutting-edge advancements. Now, as president of Radcom, Kyra is championing revolutionary technology once again with the Love Pods, designed to enhance communication and connection like no other. Today, Kyra is here to share her expertise, her passion for innovation, and how technology can shape a more connected future. Kyra Storojev, welcome to the show. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited about this conversation because there's a whole lot that many of us don't know. I didn't know any of this prior to meeting you. And of course, I had the opportunity to meet you a couple weeks ago. But talk to us a little bit about women and technology. Of course, how did you get your footing in technology? What inspired you? And some of your professional and personal breakthroughs you've gone through. Share with us.
Well, I definitely had a shift in my life at one point. So originally, when I graduated from college, I worked for educational nonprofit organizations in Washington, D.C. And then I started to learn more about technology and really felt like it was the next big thing. It was something that I really wanted to get more involved in. So I started to subscribe to tech magazines and journals and reading them. And then I would do informational interviews with people who are in technology and high levels. And then I started to meet the right people. And I was offered a job to work for a company where I became a regional sales manager selling closed circuit television network systems to Fortune 500s in 14 states throughout the United States. So it was a pivotal thing that happened to me. I worked hard to get where I was. And to be able to get the knowledge I needed in technology. And it was really a great opportunity. So from there, I leapfrogged into having my own business in technology. And I was a consultant to government agencies, to school districts, to corporations. So it's just been a great journey.
the science piece behind it, the advancements of what we can do. And it's kind of intimidating to me as I think about it. But what's the one thing, what does it stand for in terms of the type of reach it has where we're moving in life? What does technology mean to you and the vision that you hold for it?
Well, technology has certainly changed our lives in a big way over the years, and it continues to with AI. Obviously, that is a new trend happening right now. The technology that I work with is the Love Pod, and I'm very excited about this because that is utilizing satellite technology. And as you know, there are thousands of satellites right now that have been launched and are out there that we're all utilizing. Well, the technology that we have currently is going to be utilizing satellites even more. So I really am excited about the because it allows us to have connection with the world. So I think that that is a huge shift that is occurring where we used to have spotty connections and, difficult to reach people. It's just going to be seamless.
So it, and of course, definitely want to dive into the love pod because we've got a lot to cover. I'm curious. I do have to ask. You being a woman in this space, there is a level of trailblazing. There's those elements that are part of it. What was it like for you as you began to put one foot in front of the other and really use your voice to grow in this field?
Yes. So when I started out with the companies called Target Vision, way back in the beginning when I was a regional sales manager, uh, my bosses were so helpful. They just really empowered me. And they said, just make your cold calls, line up the meetings. We'll support you in every way we need to. And I was pretty much on my own because I was one of the first remote workers. So that was trailblazing in itself. The company was based out of New York. So I did. I made cold calls and I just said to people, look, I've got this new technology. It combines the telephone, the television, and networking. And so it just kind of piqued their interest. And that's how I started. And I was able to get in the door of just huge Fortune 500s and then get into meetings with top level people, which was certainly groundbreaking at the time because I was young and a young woman. And I remember walking into some of the rooms and all these high level tech people were there and they just looked at me when I first walked in and just I could see their eyes rolling and just thinking, what does she know? You know? And I knew in the instant I could pick out the people who were just ambivalent about being there. I was wasting their time, basically. But I knew my stuff, I did my research. I understood the technology and I was able to speak to them. And then it just totally turned around. Most of the time in the meetings, those people who were ambivalent were my biggest supporters. So, and then from there, I was able to be a keynote speaker at a number of trade shows on communications and technology trade shows. So that was really an exciting time for sure. And I'm so thankful that I had that opportunity to just be one of the initial springboards for women in technology.
So I'm curious, so the type of, so maybe they were surprised, but I've got to ask underneath it all, was there any pushback being a woman? Because I know that we've had women on the show. I've had conversations with women, and there's a little bit of that element going on just because of assumptions that are made about women and
Mhm.
in non-traditional roles, if you will. But what if there were pushbacks or type of challenges? What helped you keep that thick skin? Because not everybody has thick skin.
Yeah, I like a challenge. That's my personality. I really like being able to, research the information and get really knowledgeable at it. And this to me was really exciting because I'm big on communications. I think it's really important to let people know about, what's the technology available, how can their lives be enriched and better from this all. The technology I worked with helped a lot of people, which I really appreciated. So it was like it was enriching at the same time as it was challenging.
And one thing I do love is that for people who I've spoken to, and for women who I've spoken to in particular, that there's this level of you own your space. That this is, you stand on your ground, you don't waver, and so there's no questioning of your intentionality, your level of clarity. And so, and I'm going to go out on a limb to say, was this something that was just part of your personality in trailblazing your own specific path in this being your career? Was this something that was always a get-go, or did you come to this to be like, you know what, in order for me to move forward, I'm just gonna have to lean into it, and I'm gonna need to just I'm deciding not to waver.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember the moment my roommate and I, we were roommates right out of college and living in San Francisco. And we were having this party that we were hosting and all these great friends. And we were sort of in a career position where we didn't really know where we wanted to go. And I just looked at her and I said, you know what? I think the next step is in technology and I just want to go for it. What do I have to lose? I didn't have any kids. I wasn't married, why not? And she said, go for it, Kyra. And she said, you know what? I'm going to be in entertainment. And I said, okay, great, go for it. And so here we are all these years later. We're still great friends. And she has been a Hollywood rock star. I mean, she's been an executive producer. She's worked for CBS. She helped start Latin America, Fox News, Fox Channel. It's just been extraordinary. So I think also having supportive people in your life who encourage you to move forward, especially a woman, is really helpful.
So technically speaking, did you, or let me back up, did you have mentors going through this, or was this something that you had to pave your own path without additional support?
I did not have a mentor. So why that's the reason why I chose to research technology on my own, and why I did informational interviews with people because I could just lean into their information. I could gather their information and just kind of assimilate it. And so that's really what I did. There are some people I've met along the way during the journey as a technology expert who became my good friends and not so much mentors, but we definitely bounced off each other and helped each other grow.
I think that's fantastic because that you didn't let that slow you down. And there's so many times in life where maybe there's a level of second guessing of should I do this, shouldn't I do this? This is an unfamiliar path. And oftentimes you see that hesitancy where people just they choose not to go on a path because it's unfamiliar. So, what would you say to the person who is excited and nervous about the path that they're on, or even with technology, because things are moving so fast? What
Yeah.
helped you just trust the process? What were some elements that really helped you to really embrace it and just take it head on?
I think what I really feel is that it just enriched me as a person. I think when you're choosing a profession and a path, it has to have some elements in it that satisfy you, that bring you joy. For me, it was meeting new people, and I love meeting new people and having interesting conversations. And I like learning new things. So it has to really make your soul feel good. And that I think is the big motivator. It just has to have those components.
What did technology teach you about you that you didn't know before?
Well, that there is just a huge world out there, wanting information, wanting these kind of technologies. And then we all just, I think, want to grow, as a human population as a whole. We just want to keep moving forward. So I think technology just fulfills that for a lot of people, is that you have this feeling of momentum, that we're stepping forward, we're bettering our lives, we're bettering our lives for ourselves and our children, our next generations. And I think that's one of the goals in the human experience.
How fast are we moving in technology? And I know we're using general terms now. We're going to dive into a whole bunch of stuff as we move forward, but how fast are we moving? Are we gaining traction with each new day, month, year? Are we at a predictable pace? Are we having a hard time playing catch up? What's your take on our pace with learning just those advancements and the things that we've yet to discover?
Yeah. I always find that every holiday season, Christmas, that people get their gifts, and it's a lot of times now it's technology, and I feel like that's when we get these big leaps, is when people suddenly have all these iPads, or they suddenly have all these iWatches, So those are like easy ways to really understand the next steps for people. I think is those times when we have these big massive buys. Technology is moving at such a rapid pace in AI right now that I think it's just mind boggling, and there is no legislation, there is no monitoring of it, there's no pacing of it, it's just become readily accepted. So I think that aspect of technology right now is just leapfrogging so fast we can barely keep up, for sure.
Do you think that there's things that we need to do to keep our finger on the pulse to make sure that we understand how we are advancing ourselves? Do you feel like we have the right people in place? Do you feel like that the number of specialists out there is just few and far in between? What's your take on this field expanding and people interested in it?
Yeah, I mean, I think nearly every job incorporates some level of technology, right? I mean, some a little bit and some a whole lot, like computer programmers. So I think people just have to like monitor their balance in life too, like you have to have your show's about health. And to me, with technology, you have to have a healthy balance. Like, yes, you can become fully immersed in, what AI is doing, or, your computer programs. But you have to be able to step outside and go for a walk, you know, cook a good meal, um, have time with your family, and not let it overwhelm you, because really it can do that. It can take over people's lives sometimes, where you get so immersed and time just flies, right? When you're on the computer or watching a TV show. So I think, you know, even though it's going at such a rapid pace, we have to remind ourselves to find that level of balance.
I think you're right that there is the stimulus piece and then there's the communication, the connection piece. So both of those really grab the human population. The stimulus as we're the experience of whether it is that we've got our hands on something, and then the connections that 100 years ago just were not in existence, or the things that get highlighted from, say, like the cartoon show the Jetsons, that is now coming or have been coming into fruition. And what's the one thing that excites you most about the speed at which we're at? Obviously we're going very fast,
Yeah.
but what's the one thing that maybe you lean into, the characteristic of how fast we're going? What really strikes you about that?
Yeah, I find exploration, human exploration. I mean, going to Mars, wow, that would be just extraordinary, and being able to have international base in Mars, or, exploring more. I find that that is just totally fascinating. That the whole universe that we have beyond us, beyond our planet, is just massive, and I am excited about the capabilities of being able to see through telescopes, even, you know more and more of our galaxy and beyond. And it's beautiful to look at. If you ever look like at NASA's website, they have just extraordinary pictures. And that comes from, the next stage and evolution of technology. And I mean, it doesn't have to be just in the workplace. It could be about, the human exploration of our world beyond, or even just our understanding of minuscule microscopic particles in the ocean, you know? So I find that is just really just, it gets me. I just love that.
Love how you describe that, because I think that that's the important piece for us to, the more that we're excited about that, where how far we're advancing, that the more that we can have a better handle on it. And there's so much that we're going to cover, including this bad boy that I have right here, the Love Pod. First, we're going to take a commercial break. Stay right with us. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this.
So NAD is something that we use for people who are going through withdrawal symptoms, whether it's opioids, whether it's alcohol. GABA receptors in our brain is something that alcohol affects when we drink. So when you're going through alcohol withdrawals and I give you the Calm bag or give you Calm with GABA in it, it kind of gives your brain that kind of fix, so to speak, of the alcohol to help with the withdrawal symptoms. I'm not saying it gets rid of them. I'm not saying I give you GABA and you're good to go forever. That's not what I'm saying. It's, again, just like everything we offer, it's a relief.
Introducing Launchpad, the perfect partner to help you launch your dream project to the world. We know that time is of the essence, and we're here to help you make the most of it. With Launchpad, you'll get access to the most advanced digital tools and strategies to take your idea from a mere concept to a fully fledged success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned pro, we have everything you need to make your mark in the world. Launchpad, your ultimate launch partner.
Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Guest today, Kyra Storojev. She is a technology specialist. She's the president of Radcom, and we are talking about integrating technology and health. What does this look like for the future? We are now talking about, and I can't wait to talk a little bit about Love Pods. And so I do have this in my hands. Kyra, talk a little bit about what is this do I have in my hand so that viewers can have a better understanding of this, and talk about the concept of Love Pods and what it does.
Sure, yeah. I'm really excited about this product because it really is the next generation in terms of communication and seamless communication. I have mine too. I use it all the time. And what it is basically a hotspot. It allows people to access the internet wherever they are, and to be able to connect 9 devices to one. So it also acts as a router. It connects to the Wi-Fi, any Wi-Fi that's readily available. And then if there's no Wi-Fi readily available, it goes up to the satellite that we have a connection with. And then it also connects via 4G. So there's 3 different ways that it can connect. And we're also increasing what's called a meshing capability so that each of these little pods is like a broadcaster. So it can broadcast signal out to other pods when we have more out there. That makes the signal even stronger. So right now, my pod, I have connected to my computer, my phone, my Kindle, I have also, and my daughter has hers connected to her computer. And within a 300 feet radius, you can connect these devices. And we just love it because it's so fast. And, it's been wonderful, a great experience. We have clients now all over the country. We have more people buying them in different countries too.
Can you talk about the backstory of this? Because I'm opening this up and I just want to share. So this is obviously an external router, or that's how I recognize this. And this is something that, so some of the benefits, I'm going to guess, in terms of security and then isolation. So if you're in a remote spot, that this is something that, if I turn mine on here, and then this is as it's turning on, that maybe cannot see, there we go. So it's going to start to load up. Talk a little bit about the backstory behind this. Who's the brainchild of LovePod and some of these features that we just were mentioning?
Sure, yeah. It was inspired by tribes, Native American tribes, and it was actually created by a gentleman who is the chief of a Native American tribe, Chief Enyon, and he's basically an amazing technologist himself. He's had a company before, made millions of dollars from it. He worked with corporations, and then he just decided, look, I'm helping all these corporations become really wealthy. He really wanted to serve the people who needed it the most, and those were his, friends and family members in Native American territories and tribes. So he just basically decided to stop doing his business that he had before, sell it, and then he created this new technology by doing all the programming behind it, and focusing in on helping those people in remote areas. So it eventually expanded out to seeing that there was a greater need, in addition to working with tribes, but also working with people, who don't have good broadcast capability. They can't have really good cellular, or they're traveling, or they're in the mountain area. And it really has been a great journey for him, I think, in being able to create this, because it's been a lot of work. I mean, 10 years in the makings to finally get here.
Just answered my question. I was curious to see what year, how long has this been in existence? And I just want to show the audience that as I turned mine on, that obviously the signal, it is now ready to go. And so 10 years in existence, or 10 years obviously in the making, that it's been, of course, I had never heard of LovePod before our initial conversation. And, so the security piece is the one thing that really spoke to me about this. And what's the difference between, say, and I didn't know this prior till our talk right now, but the difference between 4G and 5G, the concerns behind it, what do you hear sometimes of those, the feedback you get from people who just hesitate? What's the difference between 4G and 5G?
The signal output is a lot stronger on the 5G, and it was created for the intention of increasing speed and capacity of using our technology. But a lot of people are concerned about the 5G in terms of ramifications to our bodies. Like, is it too much? That because the signal goes everywhere, right? So we're just surrounded by the signal. And so some people say they get headaches from it, they get dizzy, they just don't feel healthy around it. So 4G is more subtle, but what Chief Enyon has been able to do is create a system and this network where it's still good speed, still great capacity, but only using the 4G. And I think a lot of people who are buying it are actually doing it. They're buying it because it's a lesser vibration on their body. And some people are very sensitive too, so they feel the difference.
And so the security piece is huge, because if you're sharing, talk about the concerns of sharing like mutual Wi-Fi. If you go somewhere in a public area, what are some things, there are some things that are probably obvious, but maybe to the viewer that's not up to speed with some of the concerns that we might have with our data and our privacy. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, data is a big business right now, right? There's a lot of companies that are buying our information. And so when you go into a store, and you need to have access to the internet, and you have to go online to the store's, network, and they have to, there's a disclaimer that you have to say, okay, yes, it's all right to, get my data, whatever. You don't really read the whole thing because it's always a long disclaimer. And so what happens with the pod is, if you bring this pod with you, like I carry it in my purse a lot, you don't need to go onto the store's network, right? You're actually having great security because this has end-to-end encryption. It has a private VPN. It's totally secure, so nobody's taking your data, and it's better for you in terms of your privacy. And I think a lot of people are really wanting that more and more because our data is just being shared all over the place, and we don't even know it's being shared, right? We don't even know who it's going to. So that piece has really been attractive for a lot of people, is having privacy and security.
Imagine that even like in the standard workplace, right? So if for whatever reason, if you're on a shared network and then you're needing to, say you're in the vicinity, but then you're wanting to be careful. And I'm just thinking, for the consummate business person that
Yeah.
is just hopping from one event to another or one meeting to another. And so then they have, if they're moving and grooving in their day, but then they're bouncing off of different Wi-Fi's, obviously their protection, for something like this would be considered safe versus bouncing from one network to another. And I don't know, I'm just thinking of the person who's running off from one meeting over here and then one meeting over there and all of the things.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, understandably. So this actually does go from Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi because we have an agreement with all these cellular companies that they get a little cut basically because you have to pay for data every month. So they get a little piece of that money, and that's sent to that Wi-Fi company. So there's a whole measurement going on. But the thing is, the way this is designed is that it's fully encrypted end to end. So even though we're working with different cellular companies, it's still being encrypted in the process of the data going back and forth.
Okay. Love that
Yeah.
transparency. So in the case of when life throws a curveball, in the instance when, Wi-Fi is out, can you share with us moments in time where LovePod really came to the rescue, where there was a great need that there was just maybe a demand, that level of isolation? Talk to us a little bit about moments where LovePod really came in and bridged that gap in one way or fashion.
Oh my gosh, we have so many stories to tell. I mean, it's just amazing to me. Every day I hear a new story. So one of them, a big one, was Hurricane Milton that came through the United States. We had a client in Florida who experienced power outage, flooding. It was just a disaster. And they didn't have regular internet service, but he fortunately had a LovePod and was able to call people, was able to go online to get information, go on the news, to see what the updates were. And then also people now in North Carolina who still don't have access to the internet, even though the hurricane hit about a month ago. More people are buying from North Carolina and getting online. We have a woman who living on a mountaintop in North Carolina, and there were mudslides all around her. I mean, it was just amazing that she didn't have her house slide down. Thank goodness she's okay. But what happened is all the trees fell, the roads were blocked, her internet went down. And so she ordered one of the pods. She was able to get the mail to her house, and then she turned on the pod and she said, oh my gosh, after 2 weeks of having no internet service, she's online. So she said it really made her happier. It was actually helpful for her mental health as well. And for her just overall sense of well-being because she lives alone.
And I can totally picture that, being in the middle of a disaster, in the aftermath of a disaster, and you're wanting so badly to, or just the need to stay connected, to find out what's happening, what the recovery process is, and just not playing guessing games of just wondering without any end in sight. I mean, obviously everyone, there's that gradual rebuilding that's happening. And so clearly that's fantastic that this is a way to help serve and help to make those connections. And this is not, obviously this is not the only time that this connection was helpful. We do have a video clip that we want to share with the audience, and let's go ahead and let's play that video clip now.
The win is just phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think it's very fortuitous that we were looking for a solution, and you guys just happen to be right here in our backyard in Colorado. And yeah, very, very happy that it all worked out. And I can't even imagine what we would have done. In fact, I don't want to, what we would have done without it. Like it would have been a disaster, and there could have been a possibility that we wouldn't have gotten the record because we would have missed communications, or we would have missed cues, or we would have missed exchanges, or there's a multitude of different things that could have gone wrong without being able to reliably communicate with each other and reliably, have that outreach. So yeah, thank you for you guys for coming up with the idea and making it small, compact, and easy to use.
A little bit of the backstory behind that. So obviously this was just to add context for our viewers. Can you add a little bit of a backdrop to what we just saw?
Yes, Lucas Clark and his partner, they decided to join in this thing called Race Across America, which happens every year. And it's using bicycles. So it's, manual, not electric bike. And so they start in San Diego and then ride their bike as fast as they can to Atlantic City, New Jersey. And so their goal in this was to break the world record. And they did a lot of training. They did a lot of prep. I mean, they had special slick outfits too. They ate certain foods, certain vitamins. They measured how, they were affecting their body beforehand. Lots and lots of training. And then they found out about our product, the Love Pod, and they said, this might actually help us. And they did a practice run to test to see how the pod would work while they were doing their training down in Texas. And it worked. So it was great communication. So they have a team of people. It's not just the two of them riding. It's like they have a couple caravans of people because they're riding nonstop pretty much. They're taking only 45-minute breaks and then trading off. And so it was really critical that they had communication, and they had little AirPods, and they were communicating with people in the caravan. And so they would know ahead of time, like if there was some kind of traffic jam. They could know what the weather was coming up, and they could anticipate where their next stop was. And they could all hear this through their earbuds, or they could go in the car. And also they used social media a lot. So they were broadcasting constantly, and it was all like on lifetime. But they said, like he said in that interview, is that he feels it helped them win. And they did. They broke the world's record. I mean, it was just extraordinary. And it was under 6 days that they rode their bikes across the United States.
Well, that's fantastic. And, obviously for anyone who's ever taken a road trip, there's gaps in which you don't have signal, you don't have good connection, especially it's not, you have in the urban areas, sure, but then when it's much more remote, it is an issue. And there are plenty of spots between, west to east coast of the United States, and then even elsewhere where it's spotty, to put it mildly. And well, that's fantastic. How many people right now, how far reaching is the Love Pod? How many areas are being represented by Love Pod so far? I know that's changing, but how many would you say?
Yeah. So basically anywhere where you can get a SIM card in a country, you can actually put it in the little port in the Love Pod, and that'll connect you right into the whole network. We do have some places where you don't need a manual SIM card to put in it. It's just basically an eSIM. And that's most of Europe at this point, most of Mexico, all of the United States, most of Canada, and some parts of Asia. So, and right now we're working on the signal in Brazil because there's some people looking at buying, thousands of them. and making them available to people. We're also working in parts of African continent. So some of the nations there are coming live too, and be able to have this ability to have access, which is really critical because there's so many places that still don't have really any internet, or minimal amount. And this will really boost countries, this will boost economies, because then people will be able to go on the internet, or kids can learn like on the computer how to go to school. I'm working with a friend of mine who has children of the rainforest down in the rainforest area, and she works with different tribes along the river there. And she got some of these pods, so they're planning on using them in these remote villages so that they make sure that the kids can get educated virtually.
This is fantastic. We've got much more to cover. And of course, we're coming right back. So don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this. Thank you so much for watching The Health Revolution. Our show is growing, and it's all thanks to viewers like you. No matter how you found us, please hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue to deliver amazing content to you.
Hi, I'm Adriana, and welcome to Fit Bites. Did you know that 67% of the workforce sits for 4 hours or more at a time? Sitting for long periods can take a toll on your body, increasing the risk of back pain, poor posture, weight gain, and even serious conditions like heart disease and diabetes. The solution? Move more. Stand up every 30 minutes and take a quick stretch or walk around. Incorporate simple desk exercises like seated leg lifts or shoulder rolls to keep your muscles active. Even standing while on phone calls or using a standing desk can make a big difference. Now, when you have time, add movement into your day with brisk walks, yoga, or strength training. Now, these activities can counteract the negative effects of sitting and improve your overall health. Remember, small changes add up. Your body is designed to move, so break up those long sitting sessions and stay active throughout your day. Stay tuned for more Fit Bites with Adriana.
Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Our guest today, Kyra Storojev, we are talking all things technology and health integrating together. She's a technology specialist and president and founder of Radcom, and we've been spending some time talking about the Love Pod. So this is an external router or Wi-Fi router, global, under 4G, and we've been learning. For those of you joining us, we've been learning just about the amazing benefits of this being your individual private hotspot and how far this can go. And one thing I wanted to share with you, Kyra, I did hint at this before, but I didn't go into detail. So I've had this in my hands for a little bit of time, and I'm very, very surprised. I'm very pleasantly surprised because I headed out of state recently, and where I was staying at the Airbnb, it was, the Wi-Fi was a little bit spotty at that Airbnb, and this thing held so strong. I had a moment where I needed to charge it, and I did not. So as I was waiting for this to be charged, I jumped on the Airbnb's Wi-Fi, and it was extremely slow. The signal was super weak. And then when this was ready to go again, it was full on, like I didn't even miss a beat. And I was, that was one experience I had. Another one was, I had an event in town not long ago, and the building where everybody was at, it was just, it was getting bogged down on the public Wi-Fi. And then I jumped on, and I was like, oh, I have the Love Pod with me. And so I jumped on that, and I had no issue So I'm so digging on this, and we do have a couple slides that we wanted to share, but if you could break down some of the other additional characteristics, kind of putting a visual together. I want to show our first slide if we can, and of course that's a QR code for viewers to start getting information about it. Talk a little bit about how we can visualize this to be and how far this works. You mentioned, I forgot the number of devices that can be on it. Share more about this.
Sure, they could be up to 9 devices, and you have to be within a 300-foot radius. So basically, this image is showing the meshing capability of the pod. So the pod that's in the middle is basically being a broadcaster to other pods. So the more that the pods are out there, the less we're going to be needing the satellite capacity, because it's basically they're all helping each other. So, and that's what this is showing right here. It's showing on the bottom the devices that are connected to that one in the middle. And then the middle one is broadcasting out to the other ones. So they're all sort of interacting with one another. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, it still maintains its level of security and privacy and encryption. But in terms of the signal itself, it's basically strengthening each other.
So it doesn't matter how big the device is then, right? So then doesn't matter if it's a computer or if it's an iPad. And so
it could be your smart TV.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have one gentleman, he decided to just use it for everything in his house, and canceled his cellular service. And you can do a voice over IP, basically, in not needing your regular cell phone company, and people are saving money. So that is also a potential for people if they want to use this. If you need to, if you connect 9 devices or fewer, and that's your need within your household, then this works great. It also, we have 2 of these pods in our house, so we're able to have more than 9 devices connected, and the signal is even stronger because we have 2 of them in our house. My husband has one too.
That's fantastic. Let me see if we can go to the next slide. And I just want to show the comparison between, the box. I have it in my hands, of course, and then, what this looks like in terms of your phone. So this is slightly smaller than the phone. This weighs way lighter than the phone. This is the general packaging of this. So across the board, again, doesn't matter Samsung, iPhone, or just Android, things like that.
Android, Apple, iOS. I mean, it all can connect to it.
Right. And then, of course, in terms of what to expect to set things up, I want to go to our next slide that we have. And then with this, talk a little bit about the services that are, I know we got a couple more minutes before we go to break, but the tiers in which this is, when it says starting from $48 a month, talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Actually, it starts from $28 a month for just 10 gigabytes per month for US. And so that's the lowest data plan. There's no contract. So people aren't locked in. People can, let's say you can get $28 worth of 10 gigabyte and then just keep it for up to 6 months, and then activate it when you need it. But, or if your data is usually pretty low, you just do the $28 a month plan. The unlimited plan for the United States is $48 a month. Okay. And that's for people who are doing a lot of video and downloads and stuff like that. That's really a good one to get. We just added in a pro package for the United States, and that's for people who are in woody areas or mountainous areas where it's hard for the satellite signal to kind of find you. This is like a souped up access to the satellite, and that's for $58 a month. Unlimited. And I have a friend who's actually in Mount Hood area, and she's retired. She's traveling in her motorhome. So you can see a picture of motorhome there. And she got the souped up one, the $58 a month package, and she's loving it. She said she goes everywhere. She could be in her camper, she's out in the woods. She has access. So she's just, it's just extraordinary. And then there's other data plans for Asia, for Mexico and Canada. So we'll have more packages coming out later too.
Thank you for the distinction. Of course, there's a QR code to help us for the audience to start getting started and for them to tap into it. That's the link, of course, that you can, that you can grab. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We are coming right back. Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this. Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Integrating health and technology, all the advancements. Our time today with Kyra Storojev. She is the technology specialist. She is sharing the information about LovePod. This is the external router, global external router that is for you per se. And of course, Kyra, let's talk about, we're going to bring up the website here and talk a little bit about some of the components when for viewers who are interested in getting started on this. What can we expect on this website? And this is a special website, special link for our viewers today.
Sure. So on the website, you're going to see all the technology. It is going to talk about like the meshing capability, as well as, being able to connect to satellite and Wi-Fi, all the ways that these wonderful little device connects to the internet for you. And then also, it's going to have some frequently asked questions. So you might have some more specific questions. So I suggest going to that drop-down menu and looking at that area. And then also the ordering, so you can order on there too.
So for our viewers, this is where exactly you can order a device. You can find out the data plan that's most appropriate to you. We have that special link here for those of you who are part of the health revolution for our audience. And then also, we just want to bring up and re-highlight you're on LinkedIn, and of course, and making the case there. And as we hold this here, for those who are watching who want to connect with Kyra, what do you have going on for 2020, the rest of 2024 going into 2025, and how are you lending your voice as we're moving forward?
Yes. So being on a show like this is really wonderful. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to let people know about this too. And so we are going to just continue actually doing the similar kind of thing. There are a number of different podcasts that we're going to be on and broadcasting that information as well. It's also listed now on eBay, on Facebook, and different locations. So we're just kind of pushing it out there to more social media, so people have the opportunity to see what this technology is and be able to purchase it. And probably more speaking engagements.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that you're just going to let it be known that you're continuing to make connections in the tech area, in the tech industry, and so you're continuing to speak in this area.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, the goal is to be able to speak in more places, and that's the best way, I think, for us to get this out there. Also, word of mouth. A lot of people are telling their friends about it, and that's how we're getting a lot more sales. But I would love to, if anybody has a trade show, like a technology trade show or women in technology, would love to be able to have the opportunity to speak at these events. Also, even government agencies, we'd really love to have conversations with about this, because it does help these governments, because if their people are able to communicate, their economy can get stronger.
Absolutely. Let's see if we can bring the website one more time for our viewing audience to know this is exactly where you can get the Love Pod, your own device, the data plans, all of that. So take note of this, screenshot this, all of that. And of course, I can talk your ear off, but we are out of time right now. Kyra, thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing about the Love Pod. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I enjoyed it so much. And yeah, just check out my LinkedIn.
Okay. And for those of our viewers, of course, our website is thehealthrevolutiontv.com. That's where you can find out information, what's coming up. You can also sign up for our newsletter. You can email us with any show episode ideas you'd love for us to share. On the top corner of your screen is our show's QR code. Of course, you can grab that quickly. And then as always, as a reminder, you can find us every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays on E360 TV, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. That is all the time that we have for today. Until next time, take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.